Hi, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Insurance Experts. It's my pleasure to have on the line today a disability income insurance expert, Brad Kadelski. Brad, first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me. So I started out in the insurance business about 17 years ago, working with a big insurance company selling life insurance. And, at the time when you're 23 years old, you're not really, uh, many of the friends, many of your peers you're working with don't really think about life insurance. And at the time, I'd get a lot of questions of, well, can you help me with my benefits? Can you help me with my health insurance? Or what's this disability insurance? Is this even worth something that I should be purchasing? Um, so quickly at that point, I started to get well versed in disability insurance.
So, what kind of led you to be passionate about disability income in particular?
Uh, some of it had to do with the statistics. Some personally seeing different things in my own family and with friends that have, might have had a reduction of earning because of a disability, or maybe they had to change a job because of some disabling condition. And, I think there's a lot more people that have use for a disability policy compared to some of the other insurances out there. When you look at the claims history behind many of this, disability income is probably one of the most claimed insurance policies in the marketplace.
Wow. And I know you wanted to share something about a client story that you recently had. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the client that you helped with disability income?
Yeah, sure. So, like many of the people we work with, we get a lot of the cases that we work in joint with insurance agents, financial advisors. And one of the financial advisors that I work with very closely, he had many clients that he's been going proactively through uh, that are high income earners, just making sure that they're adequately protected because he knows that if something were to happen and they became ill or injured, it would have a devastating effect on their lifestyle and their family.
So, tell us a little bit about the client you worked with. What was his profession? What did he look like? What did his family situation look like?
Yeah, so, married male, 45 years old, seems to be the typical client throughout the Northeast that we're working with, making between a half a million and a million. This gentleman here is making a million working with a tech startup out in Boston. And, you know, he's doing very well with the company that he's with. And really, the advisor had noticed that he did get some coverage through the employer recently, and it was time for a review of that.
Interesting. So, tell us a little bit about his existing plans that he had in place.
Yeah, so his existing coverage was kind of split a little bit from a group policy, another from an individual policy. The group policy was replacing about 180,000 of his income, and again, he was making a million prior. And he had an individual policy also through the employer for another 60,000 of benefit. So if something were to happen to him, he became ill or injured, about 240,000 of his income was being replaced, but again, he was making a million prior.
Right. Yeah, most people probably wouldn't even think about disability income if they already have a couple of policies in place. But what was the situation with him where you were looking at doing more coverage?
Yeah, so again, it was just having a conversation with him and his, with the advisor and the client. If something happened and you became ill or injured, is 240,000 going to be adequate income for your family? Is it going to have any effect on the way you're saving for your retirement goals? Um, and living outside of Boston, with a nice home and a couple vehicles, 240,000, not to mention the private schools for the children. 240,000 isn't going to get him to where he needs to be comfortable.
I see. So, give us a rough idea of how much it costs to cover this income gap per month. How much is he paying on his?
Yeah, so what we looked at is really kind of fill in that coverage gap. We were able to get him another 360,000 of coverage annually through a couple different carriers going into the jumbo market, the high limit market. And we're really looking at around $1,200 a month, or carving out really 1.4% of his income to help fill that gap and fill that need.
What other professionals do you see taking advantage of disability income out there in the marketplace? What would be like a prototypical client? that's
Yeah,
similar to John here?
prototypical slash stereotypical are going to be your high income earners. They're going to be your physicians that really kind of see a need for it because, if something were to happen, they weren't able to use a hand, or, they're a dentist and, they couldn't work in someone's mouth. That's an obvious disability. So those people obviously are looking for this type of stuff because they understand what could happen. But also, executives, attorneys, other private equity, hedge fund that are high income earning tend to look at this coverage, I'd say, more than other folks.
Makes sense. If you're making a lot of money and it only costs you a little percentage of your income to protect against this risk, is it really going to affect your lifestyle to pay the premium? Maybe not, but get the insurance, of course, it's protecting the lifestyle, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing with us this story. We love the disability income ideas. There aren't a lot of people out there that specialize in it, anymore these days. So it's great to hear that you're still passionate about it and focused on it. So thanks for joining us.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mark.
Take care, Brad.